Ever get that feeling, like that rush of this is cool, but also I've been down this road before.
Hmm.
I got it bad the other day watching the trailer for the new Indiana
Oh,
Jones.
yeah.
It wasn't just the music, the iconic theme music. It was Harrison Ford back in the fedora and that wry smile, pure nostalgia.
Yeah.
And it got me thinking about how much this trend is everywhere. Movie sequels, product launches, you name it.
It's true. It's everywhere.
And that's what we're diving into today.
Okay.
We've got excerpts from this really savvy entertainment marketer's blog, all about how companies are using nostalgia, especially that tricky blend of old and new to reel us in.
I like it.
So buckle up. We're going to unpack why this tactic is so potent when it absolutely nails it and when it crashes and burns, like worse than that time they tried to reboot Cats.
Oh, worse than Cats. Yeah, you're right. There have been some rough ones.
So rough.
But when it's done well, it's magic. You hit the nail on the head with nostalgia, by the way.
Oh, thanks.
It's not about just reheating the leftovers.
Yeah.
It's got to be more than that.
Right.
It's about weaving those familiar elements into something that feels both fresh and emotionally resonant.
Right. And this blog, it gets right to the point. It dives straight into why marketers are so obsessed with nostalgia.
Well, and with good reason. Nostalgia at its core, it taps into this like wellspring of positive emotions.
Okay.
Those warm, fuzzy feelings you described.
Mm-hmm.
They're powerful because they're so intertwined with cherished memories and experiences.
It's true.
And that, my friend, is marketing gold. By triggering those positive associations, brands can make us way more receptive to their messages. It's like a shortcut, almost, to building trust and connection.
Interesting.
Because subconsciously, we're linking those good feelings to their product, to their campaign.
It's true. I'm way more likely to buy something if it gives me those warm and fuzzies.
Of course.
But it's more than just a feeling, right? This blog post, it digs into some concrete advantages. For example, it talks about emotional connection and how it translates to social media success.
Okay.
And the example, chef's kiss. The Elton John Christmas ad for John Lewis.
Oh, yes.
I mean, those John Lewis ads already, they kill me every
Yeah.
time. But this one, combining that signature heartwarming storytelling with Elton John's music,
Go on.
it was like a nostalgia supernova.
It was beautifully done.
It was
And that's where this emotional connection, it transcends traditional advertising.
okay.
It's not just about views or impressions. It's about sparking an emotional response so powerful that they feel compelled to share it.
Exactly. People weren't just watching it, they were sharing it like crazy, talking about it with friends. Like, it became part of their holiday season.
Totally. It became a cultural
It
moment.
became a cultural moment.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that kind of organic buzz, it leads perfectly into the next point this blog makes about nostalgia done right,
Right.
boosting positive brand association.
Hmm?
And you know what example they use?
What's that?
The Stranger Things and Coca-Cola campaign,
Yes.
where they brought back new Coke.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Now, I'm old enough to remember the original new Coke fiasco.
Right.
It did not go well.
Yeah, it's not fondly remembered.
No. But reviving it in Stranger Things, in this show that already nails that 80s nostalgia,
Right.
they managed to spin a marketing mishap into a win.
I love that.
They played on the irony, appealed to the fan base, and somehow, against all odds, made new Coke seem kind of cool again.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's amazing what they did.
It's a testament to how nostalgia can actually reshape like how we perceive things.
It's true.
By associating a brand with those positive memories, with a hit show in this case, Coca-Cola managed to kind of reframe a past failure. They put it in a whole new light.
It's like erasing a bad memory by replacing it with a good one.
Exactly.
And speaking of tapping into pre-existing love, this blog, it then goes into built-in audience.
Yep.
And they use the Ghostbusters Afterlife campaign with Walmart as a prime example.
Okay, yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah.
With the cars.
Yes. They brought back, those iconic Ghostbusters visuals.
Yeah.
The Ecto-1, the Proton Packs, Slimer. I mean, come on.
So good.
Instant recognition.
They know what they're doing.
Right. Tapping into a fandom that spans generations.
Totally.
Talk about a shortcut to grabbing attention. In a world saturated with ads, it's genius to just leverage something that already has that that built-in fan base.
Oh, absolutely.
But they didn't stop there.
Oh, no.
They took this whole cross-generational thing even further.
Yeah.
And this example still blows my mind.
Okay.
Remember the remixed State Farm Super Bowl ad?
How could I forget? It was amazing.
A masterclass in leveraging nostalgia. They managed to appeal to people like me who remember the original Jake from State Farm ads, and to younger audiences who know Drake from his music.
Right.
And let's be real, probably his Degrassi days.
Of course.
Like
It had it all.
It had everything. They even brought back the iconic red State Farm shirt. Like, such a subtle nod to the past.
So good.
Just seamlessly integrated into, like, a modern context.
It was brilliant.
It was brilliant. They hit multiple nostalgia buttons without alienating anyone.
I know.
They made something new feel familiar and something familiar feel new again.
They did.
Which brings me to a question for you.
Okay.
How do you achieve that?
Well, I think
because it's got to be tricky, right?
It is.
Like, what resonates as nostalgic for someone my age might totally fall flat for someone younger.
Exactly.
And vice versa.
Achieving that level of cross-generational appeal. It's definitely a delicate dance, you know.
Yeah.
It's not as simple as just like dusting off an old jingle.
Right.
Or slapping a familiar face on a product.
Right.
And calling it a day.
And hoping for the best.
Right. You need it. It requires a much more nuanced understanding of each target demographic.
Okay.
Their distinct memories, their unique associations with the source material.
So you have to think about each group individually.
To a certain extent, yes, because, you know, while, for example, a Gen Xer might primarily associate Ghostbusters with the original film,
right?
A millennial might have stronger memories tied to, like, the animated series.
Oh, interesting.
Or even the video games. So it's about understanding those nuances.
Okay, so how do you cater to all those different experiences?
By crafting, like, subtly different messages for each group.
Okay.
It's about finding those shared emotional touch points, while also acknowledging that the way those emotions manifest, that can vary greatly across generations.
So you're saying it's about finding that common ground, that shared, like, love for the source material.
Exactly.
But then tailoring the message to resonate with each generation's specific experience with it.
Yeah, you got it.
That's fascinating.
It's like speaking different dialects of the same language almost.
Oh, that's a great way to put it.
Right.
Yeah.
You're tapping into that shared cultural currency, but you're doing it in a way that feels authentic and relevant to each individual group.
And that's why just replicating the past isn't enough.
Right.
You have to evolve it.
It's not enough.
Right.
Because, you know, while nostalgia can be incredibly powerful, it's not a magic bullet, unfortunately.
Right.
In fact, if misused, it can actually backfire and quite spectacularly.
Okay, so what are the downsides? What are the things to watch out for? Because this blog post, it doesn't shy away from those potential pitfalls.
It does not, and we're gonna unpack all of that after a quick break.
All right, so we've talked about all the good vibes nostalgia can bring to a campaign, but like you said, it's not always a guaranteed home run.
Definitely not nostalgia. It can be tricky.
Yeah.
Because sometimes those throwbacks they can land with a thud.
Yeah, totally.
And this blog post, it dives into some of those potential pitfalls.
Okay.
The first one, it talks about the danger of nostalgia feeling, you know.
Dated,
yes. Like, it's like that feeling when you pull out your favorite band's T-shirt from high school.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the memories are solid gold, but the actual shirt, maybe not something you'd wear out of the house these days.
Right. It belongs in the back of the drawer with all the other memories.
Exactly. It has to feel classic, not cobweb covered.
Okay.
You know, and the blog uses the 2016 Ghostbusters reboot as an example.
Right.
And while, you know, I know opinions vary on this one, it does illustrate how a campaign banking on nostalgia, it can end up feeling more stale than inspired.
Totally. It's like they relied so heavily on what worked in the past that they forgot to capture the magic, you know?
Yeah.
Like, what made the original resonate in the first place.
Exactly.
It's got to have that special something.
It does. And that makes me think about another point this blog made about alienating younger audiences.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Because that's a crucial consideration.
Right.
You know, if marketers focus too much on references or themes that are just like completely unfamiliar to younger generations, it creates this huge disconnect.
Yeah, no one wants to feel left out.
No.
Yeah.
It's like trying to bond over an inside joke that only like half the group understands.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I've been there.
Right. It's awkward. It falls flat.
Yeah, it kills the vibe.
It does. And the blog specifically, they call out the Star Wars sequel trilogy here.
Okay.
Which,
Divisive.
divisive is a good word. Some people loved it. Others felt like it leaned a little too heavily on elements from the original trilogy.
Yeah.
And kind of neglected to create those new moments that would resonate with younger viewers.
Right. Because I got to keep those new fans in mind, too.
You do. You have to. And it's such a classic example of that tightrope walk
Yeah.
that marketers, they have to navigate
Right.
when they're trying to appeal to these multiple generations. Because what one group finds like comfortingly familiar, another might find tired and overdone.
It's so true.
Is this? And that actually ties into another pitfall this blog post highlights: the danger of stifling creativity.
Ah, yes. The let's just rehash what worked before trap.
Yes.
The nostalgia trap.
I'm looking at you, Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Oof, not my favorite.
I understand, the impulse to recapture those past glories. I get it. But this approach, it can backfire.
Oh, yeah.
Because instead of like breathing new life into a franchise,
Right.
it can end up feeling like a pale imitation of its former self.
Yeah, it's almost sadder in a way.
It can be.
Yeah.
And the blog argues that this over-reliance on nostalgia, it can actually hinder innovation.
Yeah.
It prevents the development of those fresh ideas, those new classics.
Right, you're so busy looking back, you can't see where you're going.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like trying to squeeze into those old jeans that haven't fit in years.
Okay.
You might feel this pang of nostalgia, but ultimately you're left feeling uncomfortable and kind of bummed out.
Yeah.
It's time to let go.
It is. And that brings us to the final and perhaps most pervasive pitfall, oversaturation.
Yes. We are bombarded with reboots and remakes and revivals these days.
All the time.
Like at a certain point, it's just too much.
It is. It's too much.
Like it all starts to feel a bit, what's the word?
Unoriginal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also just like exhausting.
It is. It's exhausting. It's like that friend who keeps telling the same stories from their like glory days.
Oh, stop.
Over and over again. You're just like, I've heard this one. We get it. You peaked in high school.
Exactly. And, this blog post uses the example of Fuller House.
Oh.
Which, initially it attracted this wave of nostalgia.
For sure.
But eventually it faced criticism for leaning too heavily on the catchphrases, the references,
right,
without really offering enough fresh perspectives.
It's like they thought they could just coast on our love for the original,
yes,
without putting in the work to actually create something new and engaging.
Exactly, and that's where we see this phenomenon of nostalgia fatigue set in.
Yeah, it's a real thing.
It is. Consumers, they grow tired of seeing the same tropes, the same ideas, just rehashed repeatedly.
Yeah, they've got to keep it fresh somehow.
They do.
Yeah.
And that's the real challenge, isn't it? Because like we've talked about, done well, nostalgia is amazing.
It is. It's so good.
So how do marketers avoid these pitfalls?
Yeah.
How do they strike that sweet spot? How do they leverage the power of nostalgia without falling into these traps?
Yeah, because you don't want to just throw it all away.
No, absolutely not. And thankfully, this blog post, it offers some excellent guidance for marketers who are looking to get it right. Okay,
so what's their secret? What's like the secret sauce?
Well, it all starts with really truly understanding your audience.
That makes sense.
It seems so simple, but you really need to know who you're trying to reach and what will resonate with them. What are their shared memories? What cultural touchstones hold meaning for them? And once you understand those nuances, then you can start to think about how to tap into them authentically.
And that's where that balance of old and new comes into play, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
You have to find ways to make the familiar, to make it feel fresh and exciting again.
So it can't just be a copy-paste job.
No. It has to be more than that.
Yeah.
Take Nike's approach to Michael Jordan's legacy, for example.
Okay.
They brilliantly weave this nostalgia for his iconic career with the marketing for their newest products.
Right.
And they appeal to both like diehard fans and new generations.
So smart. It's like they're saying, yeah, we remember,
Yes.
but we're not stuck in the past.
Yeah.
We're moving forward, and we want you to come with us.
Yes. A perfect summary.
Ah, nailed it.
You did. You did. And that brings us to another critical element.
Okay.
Authenticity.
Okay.
And any use of nostalgia, it has to feel genuine.
Mm-hmm.
And it has to be consistent with the brand's identity.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because consumers, they can spot a cheap nostalgia, grab a mile away.
Oh, for sure.
They can. But when a brand's values, when they like genuinely align with the nostalgic elements that they're using, that connection, it's undeniable.
It's powerful. I'm thinking like the Nintendo Switch.
Yes.
It's a great example.
It's a great example. They're packed with those classic game references and characters, but they've also created this console with cutting-edge technology that feels fresh and innovative.
It's the best of both worlds.
It is.
Yeah.
They understand the power of nostalgia, but they don't let it hold them back from pushing boundaries.
Right. You got to evolve or die.
Exactly. About finding that sweet spot, honoring the past while still moving forward.
So it's not just about recreating the past. It's about creating something new that still captures like the spirit of what made the original so special.
You got it. And that actually brings us to the final piece of advice that this blog post offers.
Okay, hit me.
Stay agile and listen to feedback.
That's good advice for like everything, though.
You know what?
Yeah.
It really is. It's good life advice.
Right.
But in this context, in the context of marketing, it's absolutely crucial because the landscape is constantly evolving. What works today, it might not work tomorrow.
So true.
So staying attuned to audience reactions, both positive and negative, it's absolutely essential.
You got to be able to roll with the punches.
You do. You have to be adaptable. It's like being a surfer.
Okay.
You have to read the waves, you have to adjust your approach and be ready to ride a new wave when it comes along.
Love it. Ride the wave. So ultimately, what we're saying is successful nostalgia marketing.
Yes.
It requires a deep understanding of your audience, a willingness to evolve and innovate.
And keep it fresh.
Yes. And a genuine appreciation, like for the enduring power of those
warm fuzzies.
Those warm fuzzies, we've come full circle.
We have. It's all connected.
We have covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
From like the emotional underpinnings of nostalgia to the very strategic ways that brands can leverage it successfully.
It's been a fascinating dive.
It has. But now we want to hear from you, our listeners.
Yes.
What recent campaigns have you noticed that use nostalgia well?
That's right. Tell us what you're seeing out there.
Or a crash and burn.
The ones that missed the mark,
Tell us. Head over to our social media pages. Share your thoughts.
We want to know.
We're going to be highlighting some of our favorites on the next episode.
Yes, we will.
But as you're scrolling through those campaigns, thinking about nostalgia, here's a little something to ponder.
Right.
As technology keeps evolving, like at warp speed.
Right.
What new forms of nostalgia will we see emerge?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Right. How will marketers need to adapt to capture those feelings?
Right.
To create these meaningful connections with future audiences.
What will nostalgia even mean in the future?
Right. It's not just about looking back anymore. It's about understanding how our shared past shapes, like the way we connect with the world.
Yes.
Right now and in the future.
It's all connected. The past, the present, the future.
Mind blown. Well said.
Thank you.
This has been an amazing deep dive. Until next time, stay curious, everyone.